حبيب الله رسول الله حبيب الله. Allah our God is the greatest, the one and only glory to Him. He wanted humans to be the best and give His best religion to them. Allah our God is the greatest, the one and only glory to Him. He wanted humans to be the best and give His best religion to them.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على نبيه ومصطفاه سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. All praise you to Allah alone. We all praise Him and we seek His help. Whomsoever Allah guides is a truly guided one, and whomsoever Allah leaves astray, none can show him guidance. I bear witness that there is no God worthy of worship but Allah alone, and I bear witness that Muhammad, peace be upon him, is His last messenger. Brothers and sisters, welcome to another live edition of your program, Gardens of the Pious. By the grace of Allah, today's episode is number 160 in the series. And today, inshallah, we shall begin, by His leave, chapter number 38. And this chapter is known as urging one's family to obey Allah and refrain from evil. And I believe this is quite interesting because there is a great link between the chapter and the previous chapter. The previous chapter was talking about sustaining for the family and for those who are under your guardianship, and the responsibility of the guardian for providing for his family members and working hard to provide for them. We spoke about the ayat, about the virtues of spending upon the family members and the relatives, and the superiority of spending upon them and giving the priority to them over poor and masakin who are not related to you. Then, meanwhile, Al-Imam al-Nawawi, may Allah have mercy on him, mentioned in the following chapter, chapter number 38, which we're about to begin, the mandate of looking after your family from the religious perspective. We do not live to eat, we eat to live. The main purpose of this life is to pass the test which Allah the Almighty have set in this life so that we receive salvation on the Day of Judgment. And it is not fair to worry about yourself and neglect your family members. Neglect those who are under your guardianship, every person who lives under your roof, as it is mandatory upon you to provide for them, to give them food, proper eating, proper drinking, proper clothing, proper housing, proper health care within your capacity. Similarly, it is mandatory upon every family father to look after his children, his wife, his maid, his brothers and sisters, the younger brothers and sisters, those whom he is responsible for. Either they're living under his roof or he is providing for them. So he's also responsible because he has a say on them. He's responsible to work hard to save them from the torment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why every time we talk about the hereafter and we talk about the responsibility, we mention hellfire and the torment and all of, because this is how it is. This is how it is. It is either Jannah or Nar. فَمَنْ زُحْزِحَ عَنِ النَّارِ وَأُدْخِلَ الْجَنَّةَ فَقَدْ فَازَ. It's as simple as that. He would be moved away from hellfire and makes it to heaven has indeed achieved success. That is the ultimate success. وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَتَاعُ الْغُرُورِ. So we have to comprehend the main purpose of being here. We learned in the previous episodes that working hard to earn lawful earning, to provide for yourself and your family members, this is indeed an act of worship, provided you anticipate the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that. We quoted many ayat and many ahadith in this regard. Also, you must understand that on the Day of Judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not ask you which degree your son or daughter have achieved. Rather, He would ask you whether you raised them properly or not, you taught them the deen or not. You taught them the good manners or not. He's not going to ask any of us whether they have been rightly guided or not. أَلَّا تَزِرُ وَازِرَةٌ وِزْرَ أُخْرَى. And that was discussed earlier before. No bearer of a sin shall bear the sin of another. But you will be responsible only for educating them, upbringing them properly, urging them to be obedient to Allah, and urging them to refrain from sinning to the best of your ability. Some people do their best, and afterward one of the children may drift away simply because of the peer pressure or a bad company, or he's grown up and he's on his own. That happens. Remember in Surah Al-Kahf, Allah the Almighty said that Al-Khadr said to Musa, peace be upon them, that وَأَمَّا الْغُلَامُ فَكَانَ أَبَوَاهُ مُؤْمِنَيْنِ فَخَشِينَ أَن يُرْهِقَهُمَا طُغْيَانًا وَكُفْرًا. The child that Al-Khadr killed, because Allah the Almighty informed him that this child, whenever he will grow up, he will be a disbeliever. And he will cause a lot of harm and a great deal of trouble for his parents. And his parents, أبوين مؤمنين صالحين, righteous believing parents. So they did their best, but it just happened. As it happened with Prophet Nuh, peace be upon him. And the Quran quoted upon us, to the last minute, Nuh alayhi salam was calling upon his son, Ya Bunayya, in a beautiful manner. My beloved son, he's a disbelieving person. Yarkab ma'ana, I beg you, come with us on board in order to be saved. And when he refused, and when he was drowned, Nuh alayhi salam continued to have sympathy for him. He's his son from his loin. Rabbi inna bani min ahli. My Lord, he's my son by the end of the day. He's my family member. But Allah the Almighty dismissed this claim, even though he happened to be your biological son, your son from your line. But he died in a state of disbelief. He chose so. Nuh alayhi salam was not responsible the least for the disbelief of his son or his wife. And similarly, every person, whether Prophet Lut and his wife, whether Prophet Muhammad and his uncle or his uncles. But the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and similarly all the prophets, did not spare an effort in giving guidance to their family members. Here is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, knocks on the door of Fatima and Ali, get up to pray at night. And he says to Safiya, his aunt, and to Fatima, his daughter, and to Abbas, his uncle, Ya Fatima, O Fatima, daughter of Muhammad, work hard, do good deeds to benefit yourself, since I will not avail you an aught against Allah. Don't you say because you are my daughter that you will take advantage of that, or you'll be given the privilege, you just be saved simply because of being the daughter of Muhammad. No, 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 no. One whose good deeds are not enough to make him saved on the Day of Judgment, to make him eligible to receive salvation, his family lineage, his relationship to whomever, including to the Prophet ﷺ, will not help him an aught. مَنْ بَطَّأَ بِهِ عَمَلُهُ لَمْ يُسْرِعْ بِهِ نَسَبُهُ. So this is what is meant. Approach them kindly, educate them properly and on regular basis, because as I shared with you something I have seen in many places, but I have not very obvious in the state of North Carolina. I noticed that all the trees are straight until I came to an area where they planted some new trees, and I saw the support, very powerful support, sometimes 3, sometimes 4 poles of support to support each tree until it reaches a certain age where it will grow on its own straight. But when you see this, the tree crooked this way and leaning over this building and penetrating the wall or breaking, this is simply because the person who planted the seed did not care about how will it grow. He just wanted to see a tree, to see some branches and leaves. They did not really care about what they planted and looking after it. So that really brought to my attention the idea of, whenever you bring up your child from a young age on the straight path and teach them what is right from what is wrong, they grow up like that. Very rare that a child will deviate afterward, because you give him immunity. We give vaccination to the children after a couple months, after 1 year, then after 2 years, and so on. Why? In order to be protected against these infections, bacterial infection, viral infection, and so on. When it comes to protecting them against the fire of hell, Allah the Almighty said that in the Quran. He said in ayah number 6 of Surah Al-Tahrim, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, O you who believe, قُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ, قُوا from اتقوا, protect yourselves. Not only yourselves, قُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَهْلِيكُمْ, your family members, your kath, نَارًا وَقُودُهَا النَّاسُ وَالْحِجَارَةِ, which means you must protect yourselves and you must protect your family members against the fire of hell. The fuel thereof will be of men and stones. Subhanallah. So it isn't sufficient to save yourself. It isn't sufficient to travel across the world to give da'wah, to bring people into Islam, while your son is wearing an earring, while your daughter is wearing tight jeans and a v-neck, while your wife does not pray. Allah the Almighty ordered the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the Quran, whenever he commanded him to declare his da'wah, he said, وَأَنذِرْ عَشِيرَتَكَ الْأَقْرَبِينَ. Anzir, warn, عَشِيرَتَكَ الْأَقْرَبِينَ, your close family members. Begin with them. It makes no sense when you are a dentist and you have a child who lost all his teeth because he eats candy, then he goes to sleep, and then his teeth will go bad and he would lose them one after another, or they're crooked and you can fix them because you're fixing everybody else's teeth. You're blameworthy. How come you're not taking care of your child, your own flesh and blood? This is what this chapter is all about. In Surah Taha, in ayah number 32, Allah the Almighty said, commanding the Prophet ﷺ and the whole ummah in the person of the Prophet ﷺ, وَأْمُرْ أَهْلَكَ بِالصَّلَاةِ وَاصْطَبِرْ عَلَيْهَا. وَأْمُرْ أَهْلَكَ بِالصَّلَاةِ, command your family with the prayer, enjoin the prayer upon them. And this is not an easy command, because it is not something to be done once or once a week. You go to Sunday service and you have fun and you listen to some music and then you go on your own, you do whatever you like. No. إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ كَانَتْ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ كِتَابًا مَوْقُوتًا. That is something that must be observed on regular basis, 5 times a day, each and every prayer on its time. You must make a proper tahara, you must face the qibla, you must perfect your prayer. أُؤْمُرْ أَهْلَكَ بِالصَّلَاةِ, command and enjoin your family with the prayer. وَاسْطَبِرْ عَلَيْهَا. This is more extensive than simply being sabir. Be more patient than اصبر. That's more extensive. وَاسْطَبِرْ, and be patient in offering them, in offering the prayer, and also be patient in instructing your family, because once your child is a teenage, it becomes very hectic and sometimes annoying. Do I have to tell you every single time, have you prayed yet? And sometimes you say, oh yeah, I have prayed, and he or she haven't prayed yet. Or they may bluntly say, no, I haven't, I'm going to pray, or I'll pray by the end of the day. It needs a lot of sabr. اصطبر عليها. Then what about the following ayah? It says لا نسألك رزقا نحن نرزقك والعاقبة للتقوى. Wow. You know what? Many people, whenever we hear these ayat, especially by a great qari, we enjoy them, and you hear a lot of people say, Allah, how beautiful. Recite it again and again. Repeat it over. Well, did you understand it? لا نسألك رزقا. That is the second segment of the same ayah of Surah Taha. We're not asking you for any provision. We're not asking you even to provide for yourself, let alone providing for your family members. يعني, you are asked to make an effort, but the provision is guaranteed by Allah the Almighty. In fact, some people do not feel shy to say, Sheikh, if I teach my children to pray and to be masjid going and to wear, for my daughters to wear hijab, it will be very problematic for them. They will be harassed at college. They will be persecuted in Muslim countries. You know what is happening in most of the Muslim countries. I would rather let them be, secular people. Keep the iman in their hearts. They actually choose that for this purpose. They say, if my son were to attend a prayer in the masjid, he may be arrested. If my daughter decided to wear hijab or even furthermore niqab, she will not get a job. He's worried about the provision. She might not get married because people go after the beauty and how slim, how fashionable is the girl. If this is what you're looking for, this is what you will end up getting. You get somebody who's looking at your daughter's body or hair or eye color, not the personality, not the manners. He's not on the same page, but at that time they will be on the same page. So the tree will be, as I said in the beginning, crooked, to the right, to the left, but not straight. In order to bring it up straight, from the beginning you have to look after it. وَأْمُرْ أَهْلَكَ بِالصَّلَاةِ وَاصْطَبِرْ عَلَيْهَا لا نسألك رزقا نحن نرزقك والعاقبة للتقوى. What really matters by the end is righteousness. If somebody happened to be the dean of the best medical school, MashaAllah, this is great, but he doesn't pray, how would this person benefit his parents? By any means. But his parents are blameworthy. Oh, his son had become the president of the United States of America. MashaAllah. And what kind of benefit did I introduce to my son? Because he is the president, he is the dean for 1 term, for 2 terms, for 10 terms. He lived for 80, 85, 90 years. Then eventually he will expire. And he will be buried like everybody else. And he will be questioned like everybody else. And guess what? أول ما يسأل عنه العبد يوم القيامة الصلاة. فإن صلحت صلح سائر عمله وإن فسدت فسد سائر عمله. The very first question will be about the prayer. How was your prayer? Did you used to pray? You used to pray on time? You used to perfect your tahara? Yeah. The questions are answered in the positive, alhamdulillah, the affirmative. Yes. He's saved. And furthermore, the following questions concerning the rest of the ibadat will be easy. Allah will take it easy on him. Why? Eventually, if the person is very keen to offer the prayer on time, and he is a devout servant of Allah with the prayer, then he will be likewise with the rest of the ibadat. وَإِن فَسَدَتْ فَسَدَ سَائِرُ عَمَلِهِ. Well, this person used not to pray at all. Occasionally, whenever his dad died, he attended his funeral. Whenever his mom died, he attended her funeral. And sometimes he used to go for the Eid prayer. Bas, that's it? Yeah. But, hey, I do have a PhD in nuclear science. Good for you. That is not going to help you. But if you are a devout servant and you have whatever degree and anticipate an reward from Allah for serving humanity, for teaching people, for introducing advanced science, advanced technology, advanced knowledge to your ummah and to humanity at large, yeah, that will benefit you. This is all supplementary. This is all supplementary. When I send my son or daughter to achieve any degree and they achieve it, congratulations, good for you. Besides that, how many people we heard of that today? I read the news about a delegate who was studying in the US. On the same day of his graduation, a young man, he had a heart attack and he died. He's Muslim. May Allah have mercy on him, and may Allah give patience to his family. He died on his graduation day. He did not get to attend the ceremony. Yes, he didn't. So what kind of certificate will benefit him in the grave? What kind of certificate will benefit him on the day of judgment before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The certificate of at-ta'ah, of obedience. So look, Islam invites us to keep balance, to work on both lines in parallel tracks. Work for the dunya and work for the deen. Even our dunya, we work hard in order to serve our deen for the sake of Allah. قُلْ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ لَا شَرِيكَ لَهُ وَبِذَلِكَ أُمِرْتُ وَأَنَا أَوَّلُ الْمُسْلِمِينَ Surah Al-An'am. Say, O Muhammad, peace be upon him, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, verily, my prayer, my sacrifice, my entire life, and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of everything that exists. There is no partner to Him in worship. And this is how I was commanded to do, to be a devout worshipper, to do everything, whether concerning life, concerning preparing for death, concerning dunya or deen, for the sake of Allah. Then declare that you are the first of the Muslims. Subhanallah. So وَأْمُرْ أَهْلَكَ بِالصَّلَاةِ وَاصْطَبِرْ عَلَيْهَا. Once I lived somewhere where I had some students. They were my neighbors. When I moved to Egypt, I kept moving from one place to another because I was shocked. In one place, my neighbors were students, Muslims, Arabic, and they used to drink. And the guard said that, these kids do drink, they're college students. And, I don't know what to do about it. Shall we tell their father? I said, let me do that. I tried to befriend them, visit with them, talk to them kindly, offer them even assistance in their field. They were studying pharmacology, and the dean was my colleague, or was my professor first. Then I knew him. I offered them some services in order to approach them kindly, but they were on a different page completely. So I had to call their father, who was living in another city, and I said, I'm sorry to tell you that I don't know how to phrase it to you, but unfortunately, this is what we found out, that your kids drink alcohol. He said, really? They drink alcohol or beer? At that, I was shocked. He's okay with beer, with cigarettes, with smoking, with weed, but with alcohol, with wine, that is not okay. If the father is messed up, how am I supposed to speak to the children? If the root is crooked, how do you expect the branches to be straight and to be healthy? It is corrupt all the way. وَأْمُرْ أَهْلَكَ بِالصَّلَاةِ وَاصْطَبِرْ عَلَيْهَا. Why? Why? There are many answers to this question, which insha'Allah we'll try to deliver after a short break, so please stay tuned.
حبيب الله رسول الله حبيب الله
Allah, don't let me stray, please guide my way.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk on your favorite channel, Huda TV. I'm your host, Arkham Rashid. they actually did such and such that you're accusing him of in your mind. So now I want to start off with my right-hand side, Brother Ahmed. If you can just tell us what your thoughts were on that video, what can you extract from that video? Would you say some of the youth turn to drugs, especially in your country, if they don't have jobs, or it's because they want to get away from their daily normal lives? Would you say that's a reason?
Absolutely, that's true. Some people just resort to drug as the last option because they get themselves straight out, and they're instead of depression, but they don't know where to turn for help.
Sports per se is like a communal social activity, whereas it collects the community together and it bonds brotherhoods together. It's very social in its aspect where you interact with your teammates or your players in a team.
So I think a message would be just to stay completely away from it. Even we can say, oh look, it's haram.
TV commercials motivate viewers into immediate action and to sway consumer loyalty from one brand or service to the other. That's why we're here for you, to help you sell your products and services by using creative ideas that bring life into your own TV commercial. Advertise your business and branded products and services on Huda TV. We will offer you fast-paced and energetic 30-second affordable TV spots. Advertise on Huda TV, acquire fresh customers and stay within your budget. For more info or to receive a quote, please send your inquiries to advert@Huda TV. Huda TV.
رسول الله حبيب الله رسول الله حبيب الله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. In fact, we do have a set of new phone numbers and short numbers as well. There are numbers if you call in, phone numbers if you call in from within Egypt, and there is a single number that if you call in from outside of Egypt, the number is 008821610117. The email address is still the same, which is guardians@huda.tv, and the Facebook page is the Muhammad Salah official. Before Assalamu alaikum, we have a caller from Ethiopia. Korsa? Okay, try again please, no problem. Before the break I said, why is the hassle? Why do I have to follow up with my kids and make sure that every day they prayed Fajr on time and they prayed Isha before they went to sleep, and in between they offer the prayers and they behave themselves at school, at work, in the street? Why do I have to do that? I have a lot of things more important to worry about, not more important than that. I read about Amir al-Mu'mineen Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, one of the most busy human beings ever, because whenever he used not to sleep, but for a couple hours a day, they asked him, you're going to ruin yourself. He said, what can I do? If I sleep at night, I'm going to waste myself. I have to maintain my relationship with Allah. This is my provision which helps me to function during the day. And if I sleep during the day, I'm going to waste my ra'iyah, my community, my ummah. I'm responsible for a big community. So I'm trying my best. But with this busyness, he said, radiyallahu anh, that I force myself to have an intimate relationship with my spouse. Why? Somebody who is completely distracted because he's busy with many other things, to worry about tons of other things other than having sex. He says, but I force myself to have this intimate relationship with my spouse, hoping that Allah will grant me a child, whether it's he or she, a boy or a girl. رَجَاءَ أَنْ يَرْزُقَنِي اللَّهُ نَفْسًا, a human being, a soul, who would testify to the oneness of Allah, who shall come in the scale of my good deed, that increase the number of the believers. I have, many children, all of them say La ilaha illallah. This is the priority. You know, ever since I read this athar about Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anh, it changed my perspective with regards to, you know, having children and their education and, you know, the priorities. What do I need to provide them with first? What is more important? And this is exactly what the Prophet ﷺ said in the sound hadith, which is collected by Imam Muslim, when he said, whenever any of us will die, all his good deeds will cease, will come to end, except from three ways. You want your good deeds to continue, even though you're dead. One of three ways: useful knowledge that you inherit, continuous charity, as long as it is beneficial to others, even after you die, it will continue to benefit you as far as the world, or a righteous child. What about righteous child? What is he going to do for you? He's going to pray for you. He's going to pray for you. And in the athar, whenever somebody is promoted into a higher level, he will ask, oh Allah, what for? What did I do? I mean, I'm already disconnected. It will be said to him, this is because your child, your son or your daughter, have just prayed for you. Imagine when you're helpless, when you cannot do anything for yourself, and anxiously waiting for any dua for any person who will remember you in his or her dua. A righteous child whom you taught how to pray, how to be obedient to Allah, how to distance himself or herself from, you know, the whim and the desire and the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or somebody. I have seen both. I have seen rich families and I have seen the children. Some of the rich families who raised their children just for the dunya, wallahi, when I speak to them or to some of them, their focus was on education, 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 degree, 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 get a good job, get a good house, fulfill your dream and all of that, get a nice car, marry a pretty woman, you know, put your kids in international schools, you know, this whole materialistic system. And one of them, after graduating, and he was doing his postgraduate education, his master's and so on, and we were sitting and he spoke very ill about his parents. So I took him in the office and I blamed him for that. And I said, how dare you speak about your parents this way? So he told me that, you know, their whole focus it was on the dunya and to make him a successful doctor or whatever. And this is their main intent and focus. I said, so, you know, but you enjoyed all of that? He said, yes, I'm enjoying the free ride. I said, how could you accept the money from them while you hate them so much? You pay no respect whatsoever to them, even in their absence, while talking about them before others. He said, I'm simply enjoying the free ride. Imagine when a parent, by the end, after that many years, hears or happens to know that his son does not actually love him, does not love her. As he said that to me exactly. That was in the States. I'm simply enjoying the free ride. I heard a similar statement from a girl whom I was trying to, you know, counsel and reconcile between her and her parents. I'm enjoying the free ride. To that extent, this is what you get. This is what you get. But imagine when you teach your children to be God-fearing, to love Allah, to be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how much love would they have for you? How much dua will they make for you? Wallahi, that is better than the entire world wealth of the whole dunya. Because this what would really, really benefit you. Not any other worldly benefit. Again, because I know some people, you know, they have a problem with comprehending the message. They say these shuyukh and these imams, these mullahs, are asking us not to work for the dunya and to be poor and to be beggars. Not at all. Alhamdulillah, most of my students are very successful, either doctors or lawyers or district attorneys or engineers, chemical engineers and teachers, university professors in America, here and there, and memorize the Quran. and do not miss a prayer on time. And they give khutbatul Jum'ah, and the girls are active in da'wah here and there. This is how a Muslim should be. In the beginning, it was a struggle when we started the schools in the States. Some parents were not used to that. Yes, they would pay so much. 15 years ago, they used to pay $50 per hour for piano class. But we would struggle with them to bring their children to the school an hour once a day for free, or pay whenever you can afford. Subhanallah. But when they saw the success after the first year, it was very encouraging. It was tempting to others. Even some families moved from other states and other cities because it was encouraging. Alhamdulillah, shukla, we have seen the fruit. Every parent, keep in mind what will benefit you in this dunya and what will benefit you after you depart this life is fulfilling what Allah the Almighty ordered you to fulfill with regards to your children and family members, urging them to be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, urging them to refrain from every evil. And let's see how the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam dealt with these cases with the following hadith. That is hadith number 298 in the blessed series of Gardens of the Pious, narrated by Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu قال أخذ الحسن ابن علي رضي الله عنهما تمرة من تمر الصدقة فجعلها في فيه فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كخ كخ or كخ كخ ارم بها أما علمت أنا لا نأكل الصدقة متفق عليه وفي رواية أن لا تحل لنا الصدقة. سبحان الله. Al-Hasan ibn Ali, may Allah be pleased with him and with his father, once took one of the dates which were prepared to be given in a charity because it was contributed as a sadaqah, and he picked it up a child. He put it in his mouth, whereupon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam took it out of his mouth and he said, kah, kah, leave it, drop it, throw it away. Don't you know that we do not eat the sadaqah? We're not entitled to eat from the charity. Subhanallah. The word kah, kah is a word of ibaq for the child to leave an unpleasant things. And we still use the same word, but sometimes with a zayr instead of zabar on the kaf. We say kah, kah. This is bad, don't do that. This is terrible. So the child, even though he does not speak yet, but he knows the approval signs and the disapproval signs. So disapproval sign is kah, kah, don't do that. So he refrains right away. Hasan ibn Ali, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, loved none as much as he loved Al-Hasan wal-Husayn. He said, Huma rayhanatay min al-Jannah. He used to love their smell, and he would smell them. The basin is the rayhana, like a flower or rose. He said, they are like my roses in paradise. Then in another hadith said, Al-Hasan wal-Husayn, Sayyida shababi ahli al-Jannah. They will be the masters of the youth in paradise. There are many hadith with regards to the virtues of these great companions, the two grandsons of the Prophet ﷺ, Al-Hasan wal-Husayn. To the extent that once the Nabi ﷺ, while leading the prayer, there came Al-Hasan and he jumped over his back and he rode him like a horsey. And the Prophet ﷺ prolonged his sujood. Some of the companions left his head up to see whether the Prophet ﷺ is okay or not, because some of them assumed that the Prophet ﷺ passed away because of the very long sujood. He notes that the Prophet ﷺ was still in sujood and somebody was riding over his back. After the prayer was over, they said, Ya Rasulullah, we thought you dead. God forbid, what happened? He said, Inna ibni hada, my son, you can say to your grandson, my son, rode over my back and I did not want to interrupt his ride. Imagine in the prayer, which is the greatest act of worship ever, which requires khushu' in order to be valid. And the Prophet ﷺ entertains his grandson, doesn't want to rise up because he's on the back of he's riding over his back. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Yet, this is something to entertain a child, to be nice to him, to spoil him a little bit, and also to maintain a proper method of education. So what? A child just ate from one of the dates. You know that one of the signs of the prophethood, that the Prophet ﷺ does not eat, does not taste the charity. If somebody is given anything for charity, it must be distributed away from the Prophet ﷺ and his family members. All al-bayt, the descendants of the Prophet ﷺ, are not allowed even to accept from the zakah, not just from the voluntary charity. So the Prophet ﷺ applies that to his minor grandson. He says, kah, kah, leave it, drop it. It's a big thing. It's haram. It's haram. Leave it. He's training him while he is too young and he doesn't understand. This is how they understand. Subhanallah, I see somebody bringing his son to the masjid wearing a gold necklace, wearing a gold ring. What is this? He's still a child. He's bringing his son to the masjid. The son is a teenager, mashallah. He's wearing low-cut jeans whenever he makes ruku' or sujood. His awrah, sometimes the major awrah is exposed. If you come to speak to him, the father said, he's young, ya Shaykh. He's young, do not offend him. Look what the Prophet ﷺ did. Let's learn from him. Kah kah. Innaha min tamr as-sadaqa. In another incident, the Prophet ﷺ, while praying, while giving the khutbah, Umamah bint al-As, Umamah is the daughter of Zainab. So he has Zainab, his daughter, and Umamah is his granddaughter. He was giving the khutbah and he noticed that Zainab was wearing a new dress and she was being toweled in it and going between the rows, right and left. And obviously the Sahaba would entertain the granddaughter of the Prophet ﷺ. He interrupted the khutbah. And he went and he picked her up. And in the Salah he carried her. So in the standing he will be carrying her, and whenever he would make ruku' or sujood, he would place her on the ground, then he would pick her up again. Why? Not because she's the daughter of the Prophet ﷺ or his granddaughter that she wanders around and she messes up everybody's prayer. So we learn. There will be a coming hadith instructing us what we're supposed to do with regards to teaching our children how to pray and so on. We're encouraged to bring them to the masjid. But it doesn't mean that while praying Taraweeh and it's a long prayer, the kids mess up everybody's prayer because you think wrongfully that this is cool. I need to do like the Prophet with Al-Hasan and Al-Husayn. Then we opened a kindergarten. And it's like a circus. Kids are jumping back and forth. It is not like that. You bring your child, you attend for him. You look after him. You carry him with you or her with you so that they do not miss everybody else's prayer. He said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, don't you know that أَنَّ لَا تَحِلُّ لَنَا الصَّدَقَةِ? Aren't you aware that it is not permissible for us to eat from the charity? Subhanallah. How many of us do not mind eating anything, whether it's halal or haram? And a child, way under the age of puberty, is not responsible, is not blameworthy for anything that he or she would do. But this is how you make them responsible, how you train them by teaching them what is halal and what is haram. My son, as we've been talking about how evil is smoking and it's very harmful and so on, they have been talking about that. So once, while I was driving, he rolled down the video at the red light because the driver of another car next to me was smoking and blowing the smoke in the air. So he rolled down the window and without even talking to me, And he talked to the other guy and he said, "Uncle, you will have stomachache. It's bad for you. It's haram." He smiled and I was very happy. I was very happy because when you instill these informations as them to refrain from what is haram, he doesn't know what's smoking and whether it's good or bad. But those who sit for hours, watch movies, and they're fans of this actor or this actress, and she blows the smoke in the air. The child dreams of imitating this actor or this actress. You know, a sports person, a soccer player or a basketball player, gets a new haircut, qaza' for instance, by shaving some of the head and leaving the rest. All the youth want to copy them and imitate them, and knowing what is halal and what is haram. Even in haircut there is halal and haram, yeah. And are we also responsible for that? Yes. I'm going to keep up with my children, teach them to the best of my ability. Years ago, when my father used to take us to the zoo, that the wild animals were in cages, and we would go around in the free society, wander around and look at them in the cages. Nowadays, if you go in safari in some zoos, what they do is that the tourists or the visitors are locked up in a cage, like in a car, and it travels around and the animals are free. The wild animals are free to wander around, and you are in the cage to be protected, of course. Do you comprehend this example? This is what we're living in right now. It's exactly what we're living in right now. In the past, bad people would be recognized as bad. Oh, wow, this person smokes, this person drinks beer, this person have sexual misbehavior, this person is a thief, few individuals. But it has become very wild. Nowadays, the good people are the minority, very, very minority, like we are in a cage. The good people are like in a cage. And the wild people, the outlaw people, are in abundance. And they're everywhere, similar to the open zoo, where the visitors, they lock them up in a cage behind bars to protect them from the wild animals. This is how corrupt the society has become. And this is what the Prophet ﷺ predicted when he said that the deen began as a stranger, and its followers used to be treated as strangers. And by the end of time, the same turnout will take place again, where the believers will be treated like strangers, and those who are holding fast to the religion will be like similar to those who are holding fast on burning ember, because of the enormous corruption, disbelief, misbehavior. Now you tune in, you watch any channel, you see filth, except for very few. You see literally filth, and this is aired for everyone, children, young and old. In the countries which produce this filth, porno materials for instance, you cannot just watch whenever you want to. You have to provide an age verification. You're above a certain age, so that unattended children could not just simply turn the TV on and all of a sudden watch zina and watch homosexuality and watch all of that free for view. But guess what? In Muslim countries, anyone can get all of that for free. In many Arabic countries, you just have a satellite and all of that is available, not only online, but on air, television. So you are, as a father, absolutely responsible to lock all these channels and make sure that they would not get to see what is useful, what is beneficial. Some people say prevention is better than cure. You know what? I don't want this whole screen at home. I just watch the rerun of the good programs online, on my tablet, on my computer. But this filth is very destructive. That's fine. Prevention is better than cure. But keeping balance is better. I mean, if there are good materials to be aired and you know that they are good, you lock all the other channels and you only allow your children, your wife, and everyone who's living under your roof to watch what is good and prevent them from watching what is evil. If this is being practiced in non-Muslim societies, then every Muslim should do that. If you say, I like them to experiment everything on their own, to recognize what is right from what is wrong, when they deviate, you're responsible. When the brother and the sister end up having a sexual relationship, it is because of you. Because you're not attentive. You did not care the least. In the next episode, inshaAllah, we'll be speaking about a hadith which tackles this particular area. Until then, brothers and sisters, I leave you all in the care of Allah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. May Allah protect us, all the believers, and protect our family members, our spouses, and our children. Allahumma ameen. Oh Allah, keep us all steadfast on the straight path. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
حبيب الله رسول الله حبيب الله Allah, our God, is the greatest, the one and only glory to Him. He wanted humans to be the best and give His best religion to them. Allah, our God, is the greatest, the one and only glory to Him. He wanted humans to be the best and give His best religion to them.
So why did they ignore that? Forgetting all about it in paradise, worshipping cows, fire and stones, selling the best with the cheapest price.
So why did they ignore that? Forgetting all about hell and paradise, worshipping cows, fire and stones, selling their best with the cheapest price.